turn my phone on this page. If the judges will settle down, we will get going here in just a sec. So. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's 2 o'clock, and I don't want to keep our people at home waiting too long. So congratulations to those of you who are here because you are in the finals of the 3-minute thesis for the University of Texas at Austin. So welcome back. They've all presented, so they know what they're doing. And I want to say special welcome to anybody who's watching us online, so all the moms and dads, professors. You will have an opportunity to place your vote for the People's Choice Award around 2:45. We will put up a link. It's a survey, so you can go on and vote, and we hope you will participate and vote for your favorite person because the People's Choice Award goes home with a really nice check for $500. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started today. My name is John Dalton, and I'll be trying to keep the thing moving today. I'm the Assistant Dean for the Graduate School. And to get things started, I want to talk a little bit about the competition. But before I do that, there's some special thanks that I need to give. And this year's prize money, as well as the travel money for the winner, is donated, sponsored by the Graduate Coordinator Network. So thank you to the Graduate Coordinator Network. I will introduce her again in just a minute, but our chair of that organization is on our judging panel, so thanks for being here, Rebecca. So we'll get you in just a second. And so I do have some other special thank yous I want to do. This competition is, it's several weeks, even months in the making. You know, and I was talking earlier in an interview and I said that a lot of the research that's been going on has actually been going on for many years, and they're summarizing it in 3 minutes. But there were a lot of people along the way who helped do this. So first, let me thank Danielle Tumor. She's the logistics person. You all have... If you hadn't gotten an email from Danielle in the last couple of weeks, you haven't been paying attention. So she sends out a lot of those. And thanks to all of our staff in the graduate school for helping. Today we have on the bell over here Aaron Rhodes. So we're going to talk about Aaron's bell in just a few minutes, so you don't want to hear that again. I also want to thank the university library staff because they provided a lot of help with the workshop leading up to this and also the space, the University Writing Center and the Career Service Centers and the College of Liberal Arts and the College of Natural Sciences. All of them provided staff to help us prepare some of you who came to the workshops, and they've been very supportive of this. And I also want to thank the Provost Communication team and the President's University Central Communications for helping us today get all this out to all of you. Okay, so thanks. There are a lot of things to go around today. And speaking of the Graduate Coordinator Network and their cash prizes, today we will have some nice prizes at the end of this. So today's first place winner is $1,000, second place is $750, and then the People's Choice is $500. So those will be the prize monies. And let me take a minute and just talk about the rules. All of you have competed in this, but there are a couple of things I really want to say about the rules. Most importantly is that the title of the competition is 3-minute thesis, so it's really a 3-minute talk. We have a rather bright clock over here that you should keep an eye on. You do not want to hear this. If you hear that, you're automatically disqualified, and so that's something we don't want to do. So please pay attention to the clock, use as much time as possible. All of you, we've seen all of your slides, so we don't have any issues with the slide. I think all of you know how to do your presentation, so just for the judges, I'll leave the rules up there, and then we'll go on and we'll talk about the judging criteria after everybody's had a chance to just take a quick look at those. And there are two sets of criteria. This is the comprehension and content, so what the judges are looking for and what people who are following along should be looking for is that making sure we understand what the research is about. We want to know why you're excited about the research. If there's jargon in there, we want you to kind of explain it to those of us who don't have a clue about what you're talking about. That's part of the competition. And making sure that you communicate effectively with your audience, which is actually the next set of criteria. This one is very important. So engaging with your audience, making that eye contact, speaking slowly. We want to see that you can engage with the audience, and at the end of your presentation, they should be wanting to know more. And so we will be looking for all of those things. I want to take a moment and thank our judges and introduce them. We purposely picked these folks. We're very selective, and we're very glad that they could join us today. So let me start with Robert Pittman, who is a United States District Judge. He's used to being a judge, but not this kind of judge. And we wouldn't let him wear his robe and made him take it off so he wouldn't be so intimidating. So thank you, Judge Pittman, for being here. Ryan Yaden. Ryan, I've gotten to know Ryan over the past couple of years because he's the architect who designed the graduate housing complex that we hope to be building any day now, right, Ryan? Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. Rebecca Gavilet is over in the business school, and Rebecca is very familiar with UT. She works with a lot of wonderful business students, and we are very proud to have her as part of our judging panel. And last but certainly not least is our local communications expert, Joey Williams, who is the communications director for the Office of the Provost, works with our senior leadership at the university. So we're glad to have all of you here. So let's give them a big thank you for being here today. Okay, so this is not right, actually. Hang on just a second. Sorry about that. We have, give us just a second. We're having a technical difficulty, so hang on just a sec. We need to load who's on. David, you didn't really need a slide, did you? No, yeah. Hang on, we're going to load up David's slide just a second. So everybody just relax for a couple of minutes. I should take this lull to ask if any of the contestants have questions. You guys know what you're doing, so I'm sure you don't, but no. No, okay. All right. As usual, disaster averted by Danielle, so thank you. Okay, so I will look to the judges and get a thumbs up if you guys are ready. Are you ready to go? Thumbs up. Okay, David, come on up. Let me turn your microphone on. The floor is yours.
Let's pretend that your brain is your cell phone and it has a stroke. You'd lose an app every 4 minutes. Snapchat, gone. Instagram, gone. Gmail, gone. You would lose the ability to function and communicate in ways you currently rely on. And sadly, this is what happens during a stroke. 800,000 Americans have a stroke each year. It is the #1 cause for adult disability, and it results in 1 in every 20 deaths. So what is a stroke? A stroke occurs when a blood vessel in your brain becomes blocked, and it starves the brain cells of the energy they need to survive. The only current treatment is a drug I like to call Drano for your braino, which eats away the clot. But there's a high risk for internal bleeding, so the drug can only be administered within 3 hours after the stroke. And unfortunately, most patients miss this time window. So my PhD research focuses on developing new treatments and new technologies to understand stroke, particularly the blood flow dynamics around stroke. The first technology I created is a microscope. This is an image I captured where the blood vessels are in red and the brain cells are in green. Typical microscopes can only see the top surface of the brain down to the blue dotted line. My microscope can see much deeper, about 4 times deeper, to a millimeter. This lets me capture the entire outer layer of the mouse brain called the cortex. So what I can do is test out new stroke treatments in mice and evaluate the blood vessel networks that the treatment provides and compare those with healthy mice. This is just a way to develop new stroke treatments and select ones that are really promising for human clinical trials. The second technology I developed is to look at blood flow in a human on a more macro scale. So this device is used in neurosurgery, and images on the right are an example of the clinical data we have. The top is what the neurosurgeon usually sees, and the bottom is what we can overlay. So the neurosurgeon can see the blood flow in real time and thus tell when a stroke is occurring and make an intervention. I'm currently commercializing the device with the help of the Dell Medical School and the UT Innovation Center. So these two techniques are complementary in that they're trying to figure out the blood flow dynamics after and during a stroke on the small scale, which the microscope captures, as well as the global scale, which the images on the right capture. To give you a sense of this problem, the entire image on the left fits in the blue dot on the top right. The brain is really complex, and there's so much going on at each scale that to really develop a new stroke treatment, we need to understand the blood flow dynamics and the blood vessel regrowth on the very small scale and how it's going to affect the large scale blood flow dynamics. Thank you.
Nora, where's Nora?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to have a knowing look, right? Maybe.
Judges, when you're ready, you can just look up and let me know when you're ready for Nora. Nora, the floor is yours.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nora Ashora, and I work in the George U Lab here at UT Austin, fighting cancer. And I don't think I need to bombard you with a ton of statistics to convey how serious of a public health issue cancer is, with almost 40% of all men and women in the United States expected to be diagnosed with some form of cancer in their lifetime. And while we know that treatments are getting better, we're still fighting an enemy that we don't completely understand. And because of that, the way that many treatments work is by affecting both your body's cancer cells and your body's normal cells. Lucky for us, your immune system, the same one that you would use to fight off a cold or the flu, can tell the difference between your body's cancer cells and your body's normal cells. Your body can sense when something is misbehaving and then targets it for removal. So naturally, cancer developed a way to disguise itself from your immune system. And to further clarify where I come into this story, I'm going to level with you using Star Wars. Imagine for a moment that cancer is the evil galactic emperor Sheev Palpatine. Generally bad, has a secret identity, and he uses this secret identity to rise to power within the empire. Much like Palpatine, cancer uses a disguise to trick your body and rise to power. The rest of your body is everyone else in the Star Wars universe who seems to have absolutely no idea who cancer really is, and us, we are the audience, yelling at the television because it is so obvious that Palpatine is both evil and corrupt. What my work aims to do is give the knowledge of the audience back to your body. The way that my treatment works is by tearing away cancer's mask, and in doing so, exposes it. Cancer thought it was clever, creating a chemical shield to distract your immune system, and my drug chews that shield away, exposing it. And in doing so, it allows your immune system, the Jedi, if you will, to use the Force to stop cancer without as much collateral damage to your body. This approach is very unique for my field. Most treatments inevitably affect both cancer cells and your body's healthy cells. But my work draws a clear distinction for the light side, ensuring that they remain unharmed. And the best part is that your body can do this naturally. It just needs my help to take away cancer's defense mechanism. Hopefully the treatment that I am working on will improve patients' chances of survival without as many harmful side effects to their body, and at the same time, help us learn more about the tricks used by the dark side. Thank you all for your attention, and may the Force be with you.
Looks like our clock is ready to go, or our judge is ready. Yes? Raul, the floor is yours.
Currently, a widely used imaging technique to diagnose cancer cells is magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. However, there are three major concerns with both diagnosing and treating cancer. 1, determining a universal method for detecting the tumor early. 2, minimizing the use of invasive measures. And 3, improving treatment efficacy and reducing side effects. Consider, if you will, if I turned on a flashlight in this room, would you be able to see a noticeable difference? Now, take a second and consider, what if I turned the ceiling lights off and turned on that flashlight? I'm sure at this point, all of you would easily be able to locate that flashlight. In an MRI, tumors can give off a brighter signal than normal cells. However, if the tumor is very small, differentiating a cancerous growth to its surrounding normal cells is analogous to finding a hidden flashlight in an illuminated room. It's plausible, but very challenging. In an MRI, water is everywhere. However, people, excuse me, in an MRI, the body detects, I just cut. All right. In an MRI, powerful magnets are used to detect hydrogens. However, this is a major concern with the body. The body is made up of roughly 70% water, and water, or H2O, has 2 hydrogens in it. There's a major problem with this. Now, in a normal hydrogen MRI, the cancer cells are like the flashlight, and the surrounding normal cells are like lights in this room. Now consider, if you will, if I can take an MRI with something other than hydrogen, say fluorine. Fluorine is a suitable element for MRI probes because there's no detectable fluorine in the body. My research at UC Austin focuses on making fluorine-based MRI probes that will selectively target cancer cells. When the probe is taken up by a cancer cell, it is trapped inside. However, the probe is freely able to move in and out of normal cells. The accumulation of my probe inside of cancer cells causes them to give off a brighter signal in a fluorine MRI, with virtually no signal in the surrounding cells. This is analogous to turning on a flashlight in a dark room, where the flashlight is a cancer cell, and in this case, a dark room is the surrounding normal cells. Indeed, this will help us detect the tumor early. My research at UT Austin is also focused on making a probe with two functions. So not only will it give us that brighter signal in the fluorine MRI, but it will also allow me to deliver a drug to kill that cell. This will not only revolutionize diagnostic approaches to detecting the tumor early, but should also help the doctor treat the tumor at the same time. Indeed, this is just the start of my work here at UT Austin, and I look forward to shedding light on the future of cancer research. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. This here is a CT scan of brain cancer tumor. And if some of you were able to recognize it correctly, I think it is enough to say that how cancer has affected everybody's life, either directly or through a loved one. The National Cancer Institute estimates that 1 out of 3 people sitting in this audience will be diagnosed with cancer, and 1 out of 4 people will die because of it. During 1930s, chemotherapy came as a major breakthrough in medicine. In a Nobel Prize-winning discovery, it was found that cancer thrives in acidic environment. So one of the ways this chemotherapy works is that it decimates the growth of these cancer cells by controlling the acidity of its cellular environment. While there is little doubt about its efficacy, there are some disturbing side effects, including nerve damage, blood-related disorders, which does not give a good quality life to the patient. So there is one important question to ask here. Why do you have these horrible side effects? The answer is that it is because of 2 reasons. The first one, the drug that you take in chemotherapy is active, and it not only goes in the cancer part, but it goes throughout your body. The second reason, there is no way to swiftly discharge the drug outside the patient body once it has done its work. There have been attempts to solve the problem first by activating the drug only in the cancer area. However, this local activation is performed by using ultraviolet light or UV light, which you all know is very harmful to human cells. In my research, I have made some drugs which can also be locally activated, but by using blue colored light, just like a color in this pretty rainbow pattern. Unlike UV light, this blue light is only as harmful to human cells as blue Christmas lights. In other words, it's completely safe. Now coming to the second problem of drug removal. Currently, a doctor has to wait for the chemo drug to pass from the patient body through natural means, which is a very slow process. In my design, as the drug could be activated by using blue light, it can also be deactivated by using green light. This is revolutionary because the drug remains inactive even if it stays in your body for hours or days. It means no side effects. The first level of testing has been done in cervical cancer cells, and we are thinking of moving it forward to study the living bodies. The research done here at UT Austin will influence the cancer treatment method in future and will help in giving someone a better, colorful life. Because what happens here changes the world. Thank you.
Okay, are the judges ready? Thumbs up, everybody. Okay.
We're used to having water right at our fingertips. Just think for a second, how many times a day do you casually open the tap? Now, can you imagine this whole city with no water? In just a couple of months, on what's being called Day Zero, that's going to be a reality for 4 million people in Cape Town, South Africa. After 3 years of severe drought, the city's water sources have almost completely run dry, and you can already see lines of people waiting for water rations. Besides water shortages, sanitation failure, disease outbreaks, and violence are expected to accompany the crisis. Now, all this is happening despite the fact that Cape Town sits right next to the ocean with a potentially unlimited supply of water from desalination. Now, desalination is a water treatment technology that uses membranes to remove unwanted materials like salt from seawater. This happens in several stages, but one main one is filtering the water through membranes that have pores. These membranes are very similar to coffee filters, except on a much, much smaller size scale. So if you look at the sketch on the left, dirty water flows parallel to the surface of the membrane. Clean water can flow through the pores, while unwanted materials are ejected due to their size. Unfortunately, many materials in the water can strongly interact with the membrane itself, and rather than flowing out of the system, can clog the membrane. This shortens the membrane's lifetime and increases the cost of the water, making this technology unviable in poorer countries. So the goal of my research is to address this problem. Now, I show on the top right what a clean membrane looks like versus a clogged membrane. And the interesting thing is that most of the materials that clog the membrane are hydrophobic or water-hating in their nature. So our solution is to chemically coat the membrane with a hydrophilic material which has a strong affinity for water. The coating binds a layer of water molecules to the surface of the membrane as shown on the right. And this layer weakens the interactions between the membrane and the clogging materials, allowing them to flow out of the membrane system. But to coat the membrane, we need material that is not just hydrophilic, but also very adhesive, robust, and non-toxic. So the cool thing is we can actually draw inspiration from Mother Nature, and we use materials that have very similar chemical properties to mussels that can attach to ships and withstand very strong forces underwater. So what I'm working on is developing new and improved materials for membrane coating, as well as easier ways to apply them to existing membranes. And these advances can help make water treatment technology more affordable and more accessible to poorer countries. And that way, we may never have to see another Day Zero happen again. Thank you.
Okay, the judge is ready. Okay.
I was 4 years old when I went to my grandma's house in the foothills of the Himalayas for the first time. It was a beautiful British colonial house with a courtyard, a backyard, and a big mango tree. When I was a teenager, my father told me that there might be a light rail line which will run across the street. I was happy because finally my grandma would be able to go to the farmer's market. 2 years ago, I went back to the street again. There was no British colonial house, there was no backyard, there was no mango tree. There was just a big shopping mall with a light rail running just across the street. I lost the memory of the place I grew up in. There is another big urban transportation project which is happening right now in Atlanta. This project is called the Atlanta Bedline project. The Atlanta Bedline project is a 21-mile light rail and trail project which will run all around the city of Atlanta. The aim of my research is to study the impact of such huge transportation projects like the Atlanta Beltline project on the historic and cultural resources of the city. My research will answer three main questions: what, how, and why. For the what, this summer I walked the 21 miles of the Atlanta Beltline, and studied what are those historic resources which are present along the Bedline. For the how, I studied how are these historic resources getting influenced by the proposed Bedline. Are they being demolished? Are they just vacant, or are they getting restored? For the why, I'm studying the preservation policies, incentives, and frameworks which actually influence whether a historic building will be preserved or will be demolished. As the Atlanta Beltline project is going to get completed in 2030, also as the construction of the light rail will start in 2019, my research will become a strong database which will help the Atlanta Beltline project preserve the identity of the city and serve the local communities in a much, much better way. I might have lost the memory of the place I grew up in, but I want to make sure that the children of Atlanta don't lose theirs. Thank you.
There's nothing like working in front of an audience, is there? Danielle's used to it, though. I do this every day. I just stand over her shoulder and I watch what she's doing, and I say, no, 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 no. And then she reminds me that she's right. Thank you. Judges, are you ready? Okay. You're all set.
Some of you might think that the key to a broken heart is a big, shiny ring. And that might be true. But the real question is, will it last forever? My doctoral work answers a similar question, but the ring is just a little different. Heart valves control unidirectional blood flow in the heart during the cardiac cycle. Over the past 5 years, I worked on the mitral valve, an atrioventricular valve located in the heart that is on the left side of the heart, one of the more mechanically demanding environments of the cardiovascular system. The clinical driver, mitral regurgitation, a condition that affects more than 50,000 people in the US alone per year. The current solution is mitral valve repair, a surgical technique in which a stabilizing device is sutured around the annulus of the valve to restore normal leaflet coaptation and motion. The problem, however, is that this does not last forever. In fact, 3 to 5 years after surgery, there is a 60% chance of failure. Now, what causes this? Several studies have led this repair failure back to excessive tissue stress. My focus is on what happens in between, what leads to this tissue remodeling, but most importantly, what happens at the cell level. To answer these critical questions, I use a multi-scale approach, where I use organ-level simulations and in vivo tissue-level deformations to gain insight on what happens at the cell level. I designed and developed bioreactor systems that allow me to answer these critical questions in experiments in a controlled in vitro setting in the lab. I then used integrated experimental computational approaches to make that critical link between the experiments and what actually happens in the body in vivo. The result, a tool that allows us to predict surgical outcome using a simple metric, cell deformation. Now I hope that all of you remember this before you go out and buy that ring for Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Ready to go? Okay.
Blacks in the US have historically suffered health disparities. In the case of HIV, blacks are 8 times more likely than whites and 3 times more likely than Hispanics to be diagnosed with HIV and to die from AIDS-related causes. In my preliminary study of Texas residents with HIV, I found that although blacks had low survival rates in 1996, by 2013, the survival rate was 66% higher compared to whites and Hispanics. Understanding why this improvement occurred can help in the creation of other success stories for blacks. One plausible reason is that by 2013, black-friendly HIV drugs were being prescribed. Up until 2015, 2 main classes of drugs were prescribed for HIV patients: the reverse transcriptase inhibitors or RTIs, and the protease inhibitors or PIs. Generally, both classes are effective, but there is weak evidence suggesting that blacks may not do too well on RTIs. To strengthen this evidence, a part of my dissertation involves pulling the results of clinical studies and then testing whether differences in the number of black participants explain differences in study results. The logic behind this is that PIs should be far better in studies with mostly black participants, while the difference between RTIs and PIs should be minimal in studies with mostly non-blacks. A positive finding will affirm current evidence and will set the stage for a study to verify whether blacks have indeed been prescribed more PIs in recent times. Improved survival rates may also be the result of targeted efforts to improve quality of care for black patients. Studies show a link between quality HIV care and improved health outcomes such as survival. But we do not really know if there is a link between racial disparities in HIV care and racial disparities in health outcomes. My dissertation will test for this link and will also identify which measure of quality HIV care out of the existing many is responsible for the most impact on health outcomes. This information will then be used to design interventions which can be used to reduce health disparities, not just for blacks, but other disadvantaged groups.
Our judges look ready. You're on.
The Texas Department of Transportation estimates that they will need $4 billion this year. Yes, that's billion with a B, to fix issues with our roads. Nationwide, drivers spent over $100 billion in the last year repairing damage to their vehicles done by poor road conditions. Now, what's wrong with our roads? Why are they cracking? Behind me, you see a nice image of a road that you might like to drive on. Next to it, you might see the type of road that you're used to driving on, if you drive often in Austin anyway. Now, what my research focuses on is how can we prevent this from happening. What we've realized is cracks like that are almost impossible to repair, so we have to prevent them from occurring in the first place. What's the best way to do that? Well, we have to use the right materials. Asphalt mixtures are the most commonly used material in the world for paving roads. What's an asphalt mixture? Well, it's a material that's made up of two ingredients. You've got aggregates, which is just a fancy name for rocks, and you've got the binder. Asphalt binder is the glue that holds the aggregates together. You can think of it like a Rice Krispies treat. You got the Rice Krispies, which are the aggregates. You've got the marshmallow that's holding it together. That's the binder. Now, we want to know how different binders and aggregates respond and crack in the lab and how that corresponds with the field. So what we do is a lot of mixture testing, like what's up in that corner there. Now, what we notice when we do mixture testing is that when we crack an asphalt mixture in the lab, it always cracks along the binder, never along the aggregates, which makes sense because the binder is a lot softer than the aggregates. Now, what's difficult about asphalt binders is that they come from all sorts of sources and producers, and they're all made in a little bit different ways, and they're all made in a little bit different places. So we figured, why not just test the binder? It's the most complicated part of the material, and it's where the cracks are starting. Down there you see an image of a cracked asphalt binder. You can see that it doesn't really look like any other material because it's not like any other material. And we realized that we needed to go a little bit deeper than just testing it and seeing how it performs in the lab. So what we decided to do is look at it with a microscope. We decided that if we can look at the most fundamental things that are going on, maybe that can help us predict cracking. Behind me you can see images of many different asphalt binders that were obtained using two different types of microscope techniques. When you look at these images, you can see that each asphalt binder looks a little bit different. What my research aims to answer is why do those differences matter? Why do some binders cause cracking and why do some not? My idea is to work backwards from the microscopic level, as small as we can get, looking at the fundamental structures of asphalt binder, all the way up through mixture and to the field to see what actually causes cracking. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, looks like we're ready. You're on.
Skin cancer is the most common cancer in the US. Imagine that you notice a red mole on your skin and worry about it. You go to the clinic to see a dermatologist. They will usually check the mole for you first, and then may send you for a biopsy. Biopsies are invasive and expensive. It may take 1 week or so to get the results. Sounds painful and scary, right? I have a great news for you. Our photonics lab in biomedical engineering can use light to detect skin cancer non-invasively, quickly, and at a low cost. When we use our probe to shine the light on the tissue, my computational model can tell you immediately whether it is normal or cancerous, and even what type of skin cancer it is. You may wonder, how? Well, when the light is shined on the tissue, the light undergoes scattering and absorption. The returned light can be collected and contains information of the measured tissue. Based on the collected light, you can tell the difference between the normal and the cancerous tissue because biologically, the normal and the cancerous tissue is different. For example, the skin cancer may have more melanin and more blood vessels. And this difference will affect light transport and make the returned light different. Along with that, my research is developing a computational model based on light transport simulations. My model is able to extract the biological parameters from the collected light, such as melanin and blood vessel information. These parameters show significant difference between the normal and the cancerous tissue, and they can be used to classify different types of skin lesions. In fact, we cooperate with dermatologists and have done 2 successful clinical trials. My model is able to classify different types of skin lesions even more accurately than dermatologists. So far, all I have talked about is skin cancer. But actually, this technology can be also used for other cancer detection, such as cervical cancer. In the future, you may not need a pap smear because we will use non-invasive light to detect cancers efficiently. Thank you.
Wow, is that the last one, Daniel? Oh, I kind of want to see some more. Does anybody else in here want to go? That was too fast. Okay, so first of all, let's just give all of our contestants a round of applause. I want to say that was really outstanding. You know, I've seen some of these 3 or 4 times. You guys just keep getting better. I mean, this has been very impressive. So congratulations. For all of you watching online, now is the time to vote for the People's Choice Award. This is the link. So if our camera guys up in the back booth can just focus in on the web address to let everybody know, that's where you go to vote. And we will start counting the People's Choice Award ballots around, I'm going to say 3:30. And so you've got until about 3:30 to cast your vote. So please go online and cast your vote. So we're going to leave that up online, and while the judges go off to deliberate, we will be back as soon as we can. I'm going to guess sometime between 3:30 and 4, unless they get into big discussions. Might take a little longer. I hope not. But okay, so thanks everybody. We'll be back soon. Let me look around. Okay. Let's go ahead and do it. You know who is not planning to come back? I think David was in the lab doing some research. Yeah, I kind of want to. Give me just a second. Nothing like waiting, huh? Okay. We have several. Before we started, we took all the finalists. Yeah, with the clock, now that we've brought in professionals, we think of those things. Guys, I got to say, this was so impressive. Last year was our first year doing this, and it was good. This year was better, and I'm just saying that straight up. And David's not here; he's the only one that I know of that actually participated last year too. But you guys did an incredible job. And for those of you who attended the workshops and came to the dry runs, I was talking to the judges about the progress you've made with your presentations, and that part makes me so happy, because that's the point of this, is to get you guys to a point where you really can talk about these things and make a difference, and hopefully in your job placement, you're looking for grants. So you guys did really well, and I could not be prouder of the competition we had, okay? So congratulations to you all. Unfortunately, it is a competition, and we do have to select people, and the judges did a great job. I think we did just kind of want more people. We just wanted it to keep going because it was a lot of fun actually today. But without further ado, we're going to start with the People's Choice Award. We'll announce the runner-up, and then we'll announce the winner who will represent us. In the event where the winner cannot go to Fayetteville, Arkansas at the end of the month, the second place will go. Second place can go. The People's Choice will go. Okay. So this was an online vote, and it was very close. We had a lot of. It was kind of fun watching this online. Danielle, do you know how many votes actually came in? It was a few hundred, right? Over 450 votes. And so I would say all of you had some fans out there, so congratulations for that. So for a $500 check and the People's Choice have selected Raul. Come on up. Congratulations. You'll stand right over here. We're going to get some. Now, one of the things I will say, these look like real checks. They're not. And so I'm going to take them away from you before you leave today, because I don't want you going to the bank. But we will get you a real check soon. So. Got it? Oh. Okay. Why don't you stand right there, because we're going to want a picture. Okay. Our second runner-up in the event that today's winner cannot represent us, they will be representing us at the regional conference. And second place goes to Alon. $750, not bad, huh? And then drum roll, please. Today's winner and the winner of this year's competition is Kanchan Agarwal. Congratulations. Let's get all three of these folks up here. Okay, congratulations again, everybody. Okay, remember, if you want to keep the check, you can, right?
Yes,
but they're not real.
So, right, we have your.
Yes, I'm going with them as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have your EIDs, and so we'll get you your checks. So, yeah.
So do you know already when you